With the looming threat of U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs, a Buy Canadian movement has picked up across the country. You may have noticed it when you go into grocery stores or supply shops, a tag that tells you if the product you're about to pick up is made in Canada.
This bullying, we're a tenth of the size of that country, 300 million or 400 million people in the States and about 40 million in Canada. But we picked no fight. But it just keeps coming.
Just 6 months ago, the parking lot of the Walmart in Buffalo was teeming with Ontario license plates. Now it lies deserted like an abandoned runway. In the first 2 months of 2025 alone, over 35,000 Canadian-plated vehicles vanished from these lots, costing U.S. border counties at least $5 million in retail tax revenue. And that's merely the surface of the issue. So, where are the billions of Canadian dollars that once flowed into American retail now redirecting? No marches, no trending hashtags, just wallets staying on Canadian soil. It's being called a silent boycott, quietly impacting retail giants like Walmart, Target, and Macy's right in their own backyard as Canadians increasingly shun U.S. products. In this video, we're not just tallying lost revenue. We're exploring the emotional and trust-driven shift prompting Canadians to turn away, examining why an empty parking lot in Buffalo, devoid of Ontario plates, can rattle an entire border economy. This past weekend, the Peace Bridge and Rainbow Bridge were as quiet as a rainy Monday morning. In just February and March 2025, Peace Bridge saw 35,619 fewer Ontario-plated cars, while Rainbow Bridge lost 29,537 vehicles, a convoy that simply never arrived. Traffic dropped 11% compared to last year, slashing toll revenues to historic lows. The real blow, however, hit the big box stores that once thrived on Canadian shoppers. In Buffalo, the Walmart on Walden Avenue now closes its doors at 8 p.m. on weekdays, down from 10 p.m. pre-pandemic, and locks up at 9 p.m. on Saturdays. In Blaine, Washington, the Target store cut an entire part-time shift after northbound traffic plummeted by 50%. Blaine's mayor, Marilyn Stewart, admitted that the local police budget relies heavily on Canadian retail taxes for nearly all its funding. According to Fox 13 Seattle, declining retail receipts have sparked layoffs and halted new commercial developments, transforming vibrant border shopping strips into unemployment zones in just one quarter. It's not just retail giants feeling the pinch. Gas stations, trinket shops, and motels along I-190, which were fully booked every weekend 2 years ago, now sit eerily empty. A motel owner near Peace Bridge shared with WKBW that occupancy has dropped to 38%, even after slashing room rates by 15%. The Buffalo Wings souvenir stand laid off 3 night shift workers just to stay afloat. Every unsold gallon of gas and every unbrewed Tim Hortons coffee carves a deeper hole in the sales tax revenue Erie County desperately needs. Inside Erie County's government offices, the 2025 budget report is awash in red ink. Projected sales tax revenue is down $22.7 million from the 2024 estimate, a 2.1% dip the report calls modest. But the reality is grimmer. By mid-February, revenues had already fallen another $4.9 million, a 7% decline, as Canadian shoppers stayed home. If this 7% drop continues across Erie's $585 million budget, the shortfall could balloon to $41 million, far exceeding the $30 million the finance commissioner feared and equivalent to 80% of the county's winter snow removal fund. In simpler terms, every Ontario plate that stays in Toronto siphons dozens of tax dollars for Buffalo. That single domino is enough to drain the lifeblood of a public hospital. Canadians aren't staging loud protests. They're simply keeping their money at home. This silent boycott is more devastating than any vocal campaign. As Walmart dims its lights, Target cuts shifts, and border motels display vacancy signs year-round, the issue transcends price differences or a weak Canadian dollar. It's an emotional shift. From the excitement of cross-border bargain hunting to frustration over tariffs, anxiety about customs delays, and resentment toward boycott threats from Washington. As long as this sentiment remains as chilly as Lake Erie's breeze, billions of Canadian dollars will flow elsewhere, perhaps to Vancouver, maybe to online Canadian retailers, but definitely not across the Peace Bridge into the U.S. Just an hour's drive away, the cross-border shopping trips that once saved Ontario families hundreds of dollars now result in a net loss. The Canadian dollar has weakened to 0.733 US dollars, meaning one US dollar costs 1 Canadian dollar and 36 cents, its lowest point since the pandemic, per Reuters on June 30th, 2025. Filling a minivan's tank before crossing the Peace Bridge now costs over 1 Canadian dollar and 55 cents per liter, the average price before Ottawa eliminated the carbon tax in April 2025. Before even reaching the US, drivers spend over 100 Canadian dollars on fuel and face an 8 US dollars bridge toll without Easy Pass, double the $4 discounted rate, according to the Peace Bridge Authority's latest fees. By the time you reach Walmart in Buffalo, a hidden cost of nearly 200 Canadian dollars erases any savings from US prices. The return trip through Fort Erie adds more pain. Since April 3rd, 2025, Canada has imposed a 25% surtax on $30 billion worth of U.S. goods for travelers exceeding duty-free limits. A $40 US bottle of cosmetics now carries a $10 US surtax, plus 13% HST, exchange fees, and customs scrutiny. With just a few purchases, the U.S. bargain becomes a costly receipt. Many Canadian shoppers post online that they end up 12% worse off than if they'd shopped in Toronto. Meanwhile, Canadian retailers are capitalizing on this frustration. On June 16, 2025, Walmart Canada announced price reductions on hundreds of everyday essentials, claiming its low-price strategy saved a family of over 450 Canadian dollars annually, equivalent to 2 weeks' grocery budget. At the same time, Loblaws, Metro, and Sobeys are displaying price-freeze signs, turning Canadian supermarkets into discount strongholds, eliminating the need for weekend trips to Buffalo. Surveys confirm this trend. Dunnhumby's Consumer Trends Tracker, Wave 10, 2025, found that 71% of Canadians plan to reduce U.S. food purchases this year, with 25% saying the shift is permanent, draining $15 to $20 billion CAD from American shelves. Beyond economics, pride in Made in Canada products is surging. A mid-February Angus Reid poll revealed that 78% of Canadians prioritize domestic goods, while 59% are prepared to avoid U.S.-labeled products. From milk to denim, Made in Canada labels are flooding store shelves, turning shopping into a subtle political act. Added up, a weak loonie, costly fuel, bridge tolls, a 25% surtax, and attractive domestic discounts have transformed cross-border shopping from a deal to a burden. Erie County officials warn that if this continues, they could lose over $30 million US dollars in retail tax revenue in 2025. For millions of Canadian families, their wallets have already cast their vote. This silent boycott requires no chants or signs. Choices made at gas pumps, grocery stores, and toll booths have already diverted billions of CAD from U.S. retailers. The numbers are stark. In February and March 2025, Peace Bridge and Rainbow Bridge saw over 35,000 fewer Ontario plates than the previous year. Erie County's retail tax revenue dropped 7%, $4.9 million USD, in just the first 6 weeks of the year. As Canadian traffic dried up, border retail hubs like Buffalo's Walmart Supercenter and Blaine's Target became ghost towns, with cut shifts and reduced hours signs flapping in the breeze. It's not just local taxes at stake. Major retailers are taking the hardest hits. Placer.ai reports a 4.7% year-over-year drop in foot traffic at the top 100 U.S. retail and food chains, with New York and Washington, key destinations for Canadian shoppers, faring worse than the national average. A leaked Walmart memo revealed that 3 border stores, built for Canadian traffic, are on a closure watch list after Q1 sales fell over 20%. If this persists, Barclays predicts Walmart and Target could lose $1.6 billion USD across 28 border stores. Fast food is hurting too. NPD Group data and tax filings from 12 border counties show McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King lost $350 million in Q1 sales at outlets within 25 kilometers of Canada. Canadians are opting for Mary Brown's or Freshii at home, supporting local businesses and avoiding customs hassles. A Niagara Falls, Ontario shopper told Business Insider that the risk of duty checks isn't worth it. Electronics and pharmaceuticals are also struggling, with iPhones facing 30% tariff markups and strict customs checks. The Apple Store in Walden Galleria saw a 25% drop in check-ins compared to pre-New Year figures. Placer.ai reports that Best Buy Niagara Falls, New York, closed its Genius Bar on weekend evenings to cut costs. Meanwhile, Amazon.ca notes doubled same-day orders in the Ontario-Quebec corridor compared to 2024, and Shoppers Drug Mart rolled out 2-hour prescription delivery in 22 cities, making cross-border trips unnecessary. Fashion and luxury are shifting even faster. Trendex North America's 2024-25 luxury apparel report shows Canadian designer sales rose 4.2% in 2024 and are expected to grow further, fueled by a Wear Canadian movement. Holt Renfrew and Simons have surpassed Saks Fifth Avenue in revenue per square foot, while the Gucci outlet in Niagara, New York, reports a 60% drop in weekend foot traffic, with staff now working 3 days on, 1 week off to avoid layoffs. Even Costco and Sam's Club are feeling the strain, with Canadian membership renewals at 5 key border warehouses down 11.8% year-over-year, dragging revenue to pandemic-era lows. A Costco executive noted in a shareholder call that they're considering scaling back border warehouse operations due to unprofitable labor costs. This silent boycott doesn't just hurt U.S. retailers. It disrupts the entire border service ecosystem: gas stations, motels, souvenir shops, even U.S. mailbox rentals. When Canadian shoppers stay home, economic ties quietly break. Local governments lose tens of millions, triggering layoffs and budget cuts. Without protests or slogans, this silent shift has carved a massive gap in America's retail sector, and the losses keep mounting. Each missing Ontario plate sends ripples through the border economy. Part-time jobs disappear, road maintenance funds vanish, and the motel gas souvenir chain feels like a mid-July winter. As trust and convenience shift, 70% off signs and duty-free deals lose their appeal. A generation of cross-border shoppers now finds it cheaper, safer, and prouder to spend in Canada. If Washington continues with tariffs, stricter customs, and disregard for Canadian sentiment, will discounts alone bring shoppers back? Could autos, medical tourism, or U.S. higher education be the next to feel the impact? Which sector will falter first? Like, share, and subscribe to follow the next chapter of this cross-border economic shift before the next wave of losses hits.